Rejection. It's a word that conjures up unpleasant associations for most of us and can instantly ruin our mood. But no matter how much we try to avoid it, it is an inevitable part of life. Whether it's rejection on the personal front, rejection at work, or rejection of your ideas, we encounter it at every turn. Today we'll break down why rejection is so painful, what it really means, and how to use it to your advantage for personal growth and success. We'll discuss practical tips and life examples so that you can see rejection not as an enemy, but as a springboard to new achievements. Chapter 1. Why does rejection hurt us so much? From childhood, we learn to associate approval with security and love. If we were praised for good behavior as children, we felt safe and worthy of love. But when we were scolded or punished, it caused feelings of rejection. As we grow up, we transfer this pattern to our relationships with others. So every time we encounter rejection, our subconscious reacts to it as a threat. An in-depth look at psychology. Rejection activates the same area of the brain as physical pain. This is because throughout evolution, feeling rejected could mean exclusion from the group, which for our ancestors could have been fatal. Therefore, our brains react to rejection with the same acuity as physical pain. Modern research shows that people who feel intense rejection experience the same symptoms as when they are actually traumatized. Case in point. You invited a colleague to lunch to discuss a joint project, but he politely declined, citing busyness. Logically, you realize that this is probably due to his schedule, but your feelings say otherwise. Thoughts start rolling around in your head. What if he doesn't want to work with me? Or, I must have done something wrong. At times like these, it's important to realize that your emotions are your brain's response to a perceived threat, and that's okay. Chapter 2. What's really behind rejection? Rejection is an inevitable part of life that each of us encounters. However, many people mistakenly see it as a personal failure or a sign of their own incompetence. It is important to realize that there are often reasons behind rejection that have nothing to do with your personal qualities at all. Understanding these reasons can help you get over rejection more easily and use it as an opportunity for personal growth. Why is rejection not always about you? When someone says no to you, it could be due to a number of factors that are not about you personally at all. Before you wallow in frustration and self-doubt, it's important to realize that people often make decisions based on their own circumstances, experiences, and needs. Let's break down some common reasons for rejection and see what's really behind them. 1. A person's emotional state. One of the most common reasons why people may turn you down is their current emotional state. For example, the person you've approached with an offer may be under stress or going through a difficult time in his or her life. He or she may have a backlog of unresolved issues or may simply be tired and overwhelmed. In such a state, people tend to avoid additional commitments or new connections, even if your suggestions may be interesting or helpful. Case in point, imagine you have sent your resume to a company and have been rejected. This may not be because of your skills, but because the HR manager reviewing the applications is overworked or has personal issues that make it difficult for him or her to evaluate candidates objectively. Tip: if you receive a rejection, don't rush to take it personally. In such cases, it's best to consider that the person may simply not have been in the right state of mind to consider your offer properly. Try to get back to him or her later or find another approach. 2. Mismatch of values and goals. People differ in their life goals and priorities, so rejection can be the result of a simple mismatch between your values and the other person's. This doesn't mean there's something wrong with you or your proposal, just that you and that person are going in different directions. Case in point, let's say you invite a colleague to join your startup, but he refuses because he is more interested in a stable job at a large company. This has nothing to do with your idea, it's just that your priorities and approaches to life are different. Tip: if you face rejection because of differences in values, that's no reason to get upset. Instead, it's better to focus on finding people who share your views and goals. True success often comes when you collaborate with those who are on the same page as you. Case in point, let's say you sent a proposal to a large company and they politely declined. Your first reaction might be, "I'm not good enough." But what if this company already has partners in your field, or they are currently focusing on other projects? The reason for the rejection may have nothing to do with you personally. Tip: try replacing "what's wrong with me" questions with "what might have influenced their decision" questions. This will allow you to look at the situation more objectively and not dwell on the negative. 3. Protecting personal space. Some people may be more closed in nature and not willing to step outside their comfort zone. This is especially true when you are trying to make new contacts or offer something new. Sometimes the rejection is not because your proposal is not interesting, but because the person is simply not ready to open up to a new experience. Case in point, you may have offered someone to participate in a joint project, but were turned down. The reason could be that the person is simply not ready for new social interactions due to introversion or fear of change. Tip: if you are rejected because you want to maintain your personal space, it is important to be respectful and not pressure the person. Perhaps later, when he or she is ready, he or she will take the initiative on his or her own. Psychological reasons for rejection. Rejection can also be due to psychological barriers, such as fear of change or insecurity. Many people say no not because they don't want to, but because they are afraid to step out of their comfort zone. This may be the result of negative experiences in the past or fear of the possible consequences. The psychology of rejection. Research shows that people tend to turn down new opportunities if they feel their status or safety is threatened. For example, according to research by Harvard professor Amy Cuddy, people faced with uncertainty prefer to maintain the status quo, even if it means turning down promising opportunities. How do you use this knowledge? If you realize that rejection may be related to a person's inner fears, try to ease the tension and create an atmosphere of trust. This will help people feel more confident and open when interacting with you. Chapter 3. How do you change your perception of rejection? Now that you realize that rejection is rarely related to your personal qualities, it's time to talk about how to change your attitude toward it. One key is to learn to see rejection as an opportunity rather than an obstacle. Shifting your mindset. Rejection as feedback. View rejection as a useful lesson, not a personal defeat. Instead of focusing on what went wrong, ask yourself, what can I improve next time? Use rejection to grow. Failures teach us to be persistent and find new ways to accomplish goals. They help us adapt and improve. Don't be afraid to try again. Studies show that people who persist despite rejections end up being more successful than those who give up at the first failure. Case in point, famous entrepreneur Elon Musk faced a lot of rejections and failures on his way to creating SpaceX and Tesla. His space company failed 3 times before succeeding with its 4th launch. Had he stopped at the first failure, the world might never have seen these revolutionary technologies. Chapter 4. Practical tips for dealing with rejection. Now that we've discussed the psychology of rejection and how to handle it, let's move on to concrete steps to help you deal with rejection in your daily life. Analyze, but don't get hung up on it. It's important to understand the reasons for rejection, but don't endlessly go over the situation in your head. Ask yourself a few questions such as, what can I improve, and what did I do right? Use the technique of cognitive reappraisal. When you are rejected, say to yourself, this is an opportunity to find something even better for me. Don't take the rejection personally. Realizing that everyone has different reasons for rejection can help you avoid negative thoughts about yourself. Surround yourself with supportive people. Your environment can play a huge role in how you perceive rejection. People who support you can help you stay confident and set you up for new accomplishments. Take up an activity that you enjoy. After rejection, do something that distracts you and lifts your spirits. This could be a sport, a hobby, or socializing with friends. Case in point, after another rejection at a job interview, instead of being discouraged, you decide to enroll in a refresher course or start learning a new skill. In this way, you use the rejection as motivation for development and self-improvement. Chapter 5: Rethinking Rejection as a Springboard to Success. Failure is an integral part of life that can be perceived as the end of the road or, on the contrary, as the beginning of a new, more successful stage. Many famous personalities have achieved success precisely because they did not give up after numerous failures and rejections. These examples teach us not to be afraid of temporary defeats, but to use them as motivation for growth. Oprah Winfrey, from failure to the heights of influence. Oprah Winfrey is one of the most influential women in the world, yet her career began with a series of disappointments. Early on in her journey, she was fired from television because she didn't fit the format of news broadcasting. Few people know that such rejections and criticism almost made her give up her dream of a career in television altogether. However, instead of giving up, Oprah rethought her path and focused on creating her own show where she could bring out her strengths. She utilized her ability to empathize and speak candidly, which allowed her to win the hearts of millions of viewers. Today, Oprah Winfrey is not just a successful presenter, but a symbol of overcoming challenges. Her example inspires people around the world not to be afraid of rejection and to turn it into an incentive for personal growth. Steve Jobs, Lessons in Resilience and Innovation. Steve Jobs, one of the most prominent entrepreneurs of our time, also faced rejection that could break anyone. In 1985, he was fired from his own company, Apple, over disagreements with the board. This blow was particularly painful for Jobs, as Apple was his brainchild, into which he had poured all his passion and energy. But instead of retreating, Jobs used this crisis as an opportunity for personal and professional growth. He founded Next and also invested in Pixar, which eventually led to the creation of successful animated films such as Toy Story. In 1997, Apple bought out Next and Jobs returned to the company, leading it to unprecedented success, creating innovations such as the iPhone and iPad. The Walt Disney story, from denial to empire building. An equally impressive story of rejection and overcoming has to do with Walt Disney. Early in his career, Disney suffered many setbacks. He was fired from a newspaper because his editor thought he had no good ideas. Then his first animation studio went bankrupt. However, Disney did not let these failures break him. He used his defeats as valuable experience and eventually founded the Walt Disney Company, which is now one of the largest conglomerates in the world. Disney said, "I think it's important to get punched in the nose sometimes, because they help you stay grounded and realize what you really want." A psychological approach to rejection: how to change perceptions. When we are faced with rejection, our first instinct is to put our hands down and walk away. However, psychologists argue that rejection can and should be perceived as a spur to action. Dr. Carol Dweck, a professor at Stanford University, developed the concept of the growth mindset. According to this theory, people with a growth mindset perceive failure as an opportunity to learn and grow, whereas people with a fixed mindset see failure as a sign of inability. Shifting the mindset from a fixed attitude to a growth mindset can significantly change attitudes toward rejection and failure. This means that instead of seeing rejection as a personal failure, you need to view it as feedback and a way to learn something new. For example, if you've been rejected for a job, it could be a signal that you need to improve your skills or rethink your approach to interviews. Practical tips for using rejections as a springboard. Analyze your failures. After each rejection, it's helpful to analyze exactly what went wrong. This will help you identify weaknesses and make improvements accordingly. Set new goals for yourself. Rejection is an opportunity to revisit your goals and realize if you are really moving in the right direction. Sometimes rejection helps you realize that you need to change your strategy or even choose a different path. Use feedback. Don't be afraid to ask people for feedback after rejection. It can give you valuable insight and help you better prepare for your next endeavor. Turn rejection into motivation. Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, and Walt Disney didn't give up after rejections, they used them as motivation to reach even greater heights. Instead of giving up, think about how you can use rejection to your advantage. Focus on growth. Develop a growth mindset by embracing failure as a way to learn and grow. Each failure brings you one step closer to success if you don't dwell on what you've accomplished. The stories of Oprah Winfrey, Steve Jobs, and Walt Disney show that failure is not the end of the road, but the beginning of something new. If you learn to reframe rejections and use them as a springboard for personal and professional growth, any difficulties will become only a temporary obstacle to your success. Rejection is not your enemy, but your teacher. Instead of fearing rejection, learn to use it to your advantage. They help you grow, become stronger, and find new ways to achieve your goals. Remember that every rejection is an opportunity to get better and closer to what you really want. Thank you for being with us. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss new videos. Leave your comments and share your experiences. How do you deal with rejection? We'd love to hear your stories.